Hello everybody, welcome to Oscar Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 80,000 subscribers on the channel by the end of the year, so your subscription will be much appreciated. Also drop a like, only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. So I was actually planning on recording a very different video today talking about the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's comments on LeBron's nut hanging celebration, which I realize now that I'm saying that out loud, it's a really dumb conversation, but it's one I wanted to have. But that video is going to be delayed until tomorrow because right now I'm making a video on the Indiana Pacers because a report just came out from Shams, and then I'm sure Woj a little bit later, that the Pacers are looking to finally go into a rebuild. The report also suggested that their general manager has been asking ownership to rebuild for 4 years now, but because Indiana's attendance is the worst that it's ever been, they finally have the opportunity. This is a weird side tangent. I find it weird that Indiana has this reputation of being a big basketball city, and Indianapolis, and everyone's like, oh my God, Indiana, it's all about basketball here. You hear that all the time, especially when they talk about the Reggie Miller days. But then they have the lowest attendance in the league, and I understand the team's not particularly exciting, but I thought you guys were all about basketball. Anyways, maybe the population's just too low, period. The Indiana Pacers looking to rebuild. Now, the report, what's interesting about it is that they said they're willing to trade Sabonis or Miles Turner, which to me doesn't even really sound like a rebuild. They also mentioned Caris LeVert by name in this report. Trading Caris LeVert's really not all that wild of an idea, being that he's played abysmally this year, and then trading one of those two is really not a wild idea either, because that's been pondered on forever. So my first impression from this report is not even like, oh yeah, that's definitely a full outright rebuild. It feels like they're trying to retool and keep some of the same pieces around. Of course, they just gave an extension to Malcolm Brogdon, which means that they cannot trade him this year. So it seems like you trade Miles Turner, you trade Caris LeVert, and then you're still kind of the same-ish team. You're worse, but maybe you have some younger assets and first-round picks. So it doesn't even necessarily sound like they're going into an outright everybody is gone fire sale mode. That said, I'm glad it's happening because the Pacers are one of the most boring teams in the league while also not even being good. And it's like, if you're going to be boring, at least do me the courtesy of being good like the Spurs did for years. So yeah, the Pacers just not one of those teams that I try to avoid watching like as much as possible because I already know what this team is. It's been the same fucking team for years now. So I don't want to watch this team. So I didn't. Most of the time, the Pacers are probably the team that I watch the least in the league because I've watched them enough the years previous. I know who Sabonis is. I know who Brogdon is. I know who Miles Turner is. I know who well, I guess I don't necessarily know who TJ Warren is because he randomly turned into Michael Jordan once and then he was never playing again. But in general, I tend to know who TJ Warren is. And, Caris LeVert's a newer addition, but whatever. He's been inefficient in his career with the Pacers, although he was good his first season there. He's been really bad this year. But overall, I just know what this team is and wasn't really particularly interested in watching them going forward. So I'm glad that they're actually going to be rebuilding, on top of the fact that it means that a star caliber player is potentially on the market. Now, what is interesting about Domantas Sabonis in terms of potentially trading him is that he kind of needs unique circumstances in order for him to be a player that, fits on your team. I feel like there might even be more interest in Miles Turner for a trade just simply because he fits with literally any basketball team that doesn't have like a star center. Miles Turner is one of the best defenders in the league. He's both a phenomenal shot blocker and versatile enough on the perimeter to defend the perimeter at a respectable rate. Not saying he's great at it, but he's not bad at it. And offensively, his jump shot's not as good as people act like it is, but it's not nothing. And he can also finish relatively well, and his inside the perimeter game has gotten better as the years have gone on. So Sabonis is a pretty damn good center that fits with just about any team. A center who will hit threes at a respectable rate, or respectable enough, and play fantastic defense. yeah, that's a guy that pretty much any team could use. Sabonis, on the other hand, I would essentially describe Sabonis as like a B- Nikola Jokic, which is a very good player. However, Nikola Jokic is a player who needs very specific circumstances around him to allow him to succeed as much as possible. He needs the right type of players within the offense. He needs a pace that allows him to, drown out the clock and post-up possessions all the time, even though the Nuggets do a great job of making sure that doesn't happen too much. Overall, you need an offense that's based around post-ups, based around cutting, based around shooters on the perimeter, and you kind of need the same thing with Sabonis, but he's not nearly as good. So are you willing to make the changes to your team necessary to accommodate Domantas Sabonis just for them to not be that great because Sabonis isn't Jokic? So that's the interesting situation with Sabonis. I've seen the notion of him being traded to like the Golden State Warriors. To me, that's disgusting. I don't want Sabonis on the Warriors because he just doesn't fit that culture and that game plan with their offense whatsoever. The Warriors are already the third best offense. Last I checked, are somewhere in that category. So I don't see the point in trading for an offensive-minded guy right now. And their defense is also great. Really, I don't see a point in trading for anybody who's not an elite scorer. So I'm not going with that with Sabonis. I don't like that. The Kings is an interesting team because the Kings, you can kind of just make whatever right now. They have a lot of guard play, and I could see some cutting action work there. I could see some shooting working there if you manage to hold on to Buddy Hield, though you probably don't for salary reasons. But I could see that. That's an interesting spot. I saw the Dallas Mavericks, which I'd say would be interesting, but overall I don't think that really works. So that's the problem with trading Sabonis, is there are not a lot of teams that can accommodate what they need. I've seen Bulls fans suggest trading for Sabonis. Absolutely fucking not. The only way I'm trading for Sabonis is if I'm then trading Nikola Vucevic, and that's just a whole fucking mess. Like teams like the Hornets I could potentially see being interested in Sabonis because, hey, at least you have some offense going there, even though it might not necessarily fit seamlessly. Granted, at the same time, I would also target Miles Turner if I'm the Hornets. The Cleveland Cavaliers obviously have their big, so that doesn't make any fucking sense. The Toronto Raptors, no. The Phoenix Suns, no. Obviously, the Jazz, no. Maybe the Memphis Grizzlies, but still probably no. I don't think that really fits because Sabonis is kind of the same vein as Valanciunas, and you just got rid of him because his play style is kind of stagnant. And the same goes for Sabonis. The Clippers actually could make some sense. However, they have no asset really to trade. So, I don't know that they're going to take Terrence Mann and Eric Bledsoe's contract. The Lakers, no. Obviously, the Nuggets, no. The Timberwolves, no. Although I do like the idea of Miles Turner to the Timberwolves because it would allow Cat to be less focused on defense, even though he's been better on defense and the Timberwolves have been better on defense. The Portland Trailblazers, Sabonis on the Trailblazers makes some sense, I would say. So the Kings I already mentioned. The Spurs, sure, but the thing is the Spurs are rebuilding and Sabonis is like 28 years old, so I don't know about that. And then the bottom teams, no. So, Sabonis is a better player than Miles Turner, but he's harder to accommodate. So if I had to guess who gets traded, it's actually probably Miles Turner. I have seen Miles Turner to the Bulls as well. That one's more interesting to me. The problem is it would result in Vucevic defending fours, but the paint would be protected better, and the guards and wings would be good enough defensively to probably figure it out. I don't know. It's an interesting idea, but I feel like right now with the Bulls, I would much rather target a true four. I've seen a lot of Jeremy Grant trade suggestions. I have suggested that multiple times at this point. I'd much rather see something like that happen. But regardless, the Pacers are rebuilding. They're going to be trading some people. Sabonis is difficult to trade for because of how you have to accommodate for him in terms of your roster's construction. Miles Turner fits pretty much anywhere. Karis LeVert is interesting because his value is about as low as it's going to get. It would have to be a team that's looking to take a flyer on someone to hopefully be a secondary ball handler, but the problem is he's on a one-year contract. So teams are not going to trade a lot for a guy who has been bad this year on a one-year contract. You could just sign him next offseason for not a lot of money and not give up any assets to trade for him. So you're probably not going to get a lot out of Karis LeVert. In fact, if I'm the Pacers, I'm going to stick with him just because whatever is something. I don't know. I guess for the sake of rebuilding, I would wait until the deadline at least, because maybe he turns it around and his value appears a little bit better and you can get like a late first-round pick out of the guy. I don't know, but that's my thoughts on the situation. That is it. Goodbye.